Assalamu alaikum students, this is Ms. Beena. I am here to explain you the remaining topics of chapter Plant Hormones. In this chapter, we discussed different types of plant hormones and their role in geotropism and phototropism. And in this lecture, we are going to discuss the commercial uses of these plant hormones. Plant hormones are commercially very important for many responses in plants other than tropisms. So these are not just important for tropisms like phototropism and geotropism, but they are also important for different commercial purposes and their utilization. They are extremely useful in gardening and agriculture. They stimulate quick growth of stems and roots if a plant is dipped in hormones. It means that if we want to increase the yield of plants, we can use plant hormones to increase the growth of them. Now we are going to discuss individual commercial uses one by one. First of all, hormone rooting powders and liquids. Roots growth can be stimulated very quickly if the base of a root cutting is first dipped in a hormone rooting preparation before planting. It means that if we want to plant any different type of plant, we can use its root cutting or stem cutting or simply leaf cutting, and we can dip them in hormone rooting powders or liquids. These rooting powders and liquids contains plant hormones, specifically auxin, and it is very good for the increased growth of the cells, cell division and cell elongation. Therefore, they increase the yield very quickly. The next use is hormone weed killers. Broad-leaved weeds such as thistles growing on lawns and cereal crops can be killed with plant hormones. Hormones are toxic to the weeds but not to the grass or crops. You know what are weeds? Weeds are those plants that are toxic to other plants. They are grown unwanted by themselves. We do not grow them, they grow by themselves, by different environmental conditions. But they should not be grown. It is often found that in the cereal crops and the yields in the agricultural sites, they are grown by themselves, and in this way they inhibit the growth of cereal crops. Therefore, farmers use the plant hormones to inhibit their growth. For instance, they use auxin because auxin is the hormone that kills one class of plant and leave others unaffected. Therefore, it is called selective weed killers. Therefore, in this way, we can save and prevent the cereal crops and their sites from these weeds. The next use is premature fruit drop. Some citrus fruits like apple and pear often lose their yield because it drops off before it is ripe. A hormone spray can be used which delays fruit drop until the whole crop is ripe. For this purpose, the farmers use ethylene because this plant hormone is very good for proper growth and ripening of fruits. Sometimes it happens that the fruits drop even before they are ripe due to different environmental conditions, for instance, wind and temperature. For this purpose, farmers use the plant hormones, that is the ethylene hormone. It delays the fruit drop and makes it done in proper timings. Therefore, in this way, the yield is not spoiled. The next commercial use of these plant hormones is fruit development. The ovary of a flower develops into a fruit after pollination. We all know this. But it has been found that fruit will develop without pollination if the young flower is sprayed with auxin. For instance, tomatoes that are only grown in certain environmental conditions are grown earlier by the help of hormones. So it means that plant hormones also help in fruit development. Sometimes, due to different environmental conditions, pollination does not occur, and due to this fact, the fruits do not grow. So, to grow the fruits in these conditions, we can use the plant hormones again, and in this way, the fruits can be developed even without pollination. Auxins are very good for this purpose as well. So therefore, it is having utmost importance for commercial purposes. The next commercial use is bud inhibition. In most plants, the apical bud at the top of stem produces hormones which hold back the growth. This apical dominance creates a tall, thin plant. If the apical bud is cut off, the lower buds grow, making a more bushy shape. So it is often found that in most plants, the apical bud produces the hormones that holds back the growth and it stops the growth of the other branches. And in this way, a tall, thin plant is grown. That hormone is inducing the growth of the plant in vertical direction, and it is inhibiting the growth of the plant in the lateral directions. So if we cut these apical buds in this way, we can increase the lateral growth in plants. This process is useful when we want to convert hedges into interesting shapes. We have often seen that many different shapes are grown of different plants and their bushes, and it is very interesting to do it. Therefore, it is also important for commercial purposes because they are grown in many different public places, in gardens and in other areas where publics can go and enjoy. So there are 4 plant hormones. For instance, abscisic acid is a plant hormone that is very good in growth inhibition. So it is also used for this purpose. So students, today we have discussed all different commercial uses of plant hormones, including the ripening of fruit, growing cuttings of stems and roots, and how they can kill the weeds. And in this way, they increase the yield of different plants, and they are very good for the commercial purposes. Here this chapter is ended. The remaining questions of this chapter are here. How do selective weed killers work? Next question. How do plants hormones delay fruit drop? The next question is explain tomato fruit development without pollination. Thank you students. Allah Hafiz.